Okay, so looking at perfect square trinomials and factoring them, the first thing we have to do is be able to identify a perfect square trinomial. So this value is actually not negative. It was just kind of like a dash, like showing this trinomial. So to identify if something is a perfect square, if you're looking at your trinomial, ax squared minus or plus bx plus c equals 0. If you can take the square root of the a term and you can take the square root of the c term, and if you take those numbers and multiply them by 2, if you get your b term, you're going to have a perfect square trinomial. So what I mean by that is we can take the root of 16, we know that equals 4. We can take the root of 25, we know that equals 5. And this middle term, if you do 2 times 4 times 5, you'll get 40. So we know that this will be a perfect square trinomial, so we can split it up into your two binomials, and then you want to know what we're filling it in with in terms of signs. Because that middle term is negative and that last term is positive, both of these will be negative, right? Because that last part, when you do negative times a negative, that will give you a positive. And when you add to get your middle term, both terms will be negative. And then in terms of filling it in, you take the square root of your first term, which would be 4x, and that will be going into as the first term of your binomial. And then you take the square root of your last term, which would be 5. And now we're done. So if this is your answer, you could always, it is your answer. You can double check that by expanding it out, and you'll see that that's our answer. You could also simplify this one more step by just taking one binomial and saying it's to the power of 2, meaning we have 2 of them. Now I just wanted to show the difference if we did have a positive here. Now we're doing the same thing. We can recognize that it's a perfect square trinomial because you can take the root of 16, you can take the root of 25, and if you multiply those numbers together and times by 2, it's going to equal 40. So when we are looking at our two binomials, we're still going to fill in 4x into our first bit because that is the root of that first term. We will still fill in 5 because the root of 25 is 5 once we fill that in. And then this last part though, instead of having negative signs, the value here when we're adding needs to be positive, and they would both have to be positive because a positive times a positive will also give you that positive. So that is the difference, is this sign in here, that it's positive. Now we have both our terms positive, and we can simplify this one more time if we wanted to by writing it once and saying it's squared. As always, I hope this helped. If it did, please subscribe and like this video. And if there's any other video I can do for you, please just let me know. Thanks for watching.